Have you ever wondered why the more you try to control your life, the more chaotic it seems to become? You run, plan, force things, and yet everything falls apart. But what if I told you that true power doesn't lie in control, but in calm? In this video, you'll discover 11 Stoic lessons that will teach you how to stay calm and use it as your greatest advantage. But this isn't just pretty theory or empty words. These are real strategies, tested for centuries by the Stoics, that can transform the way you think and act. Are you ready to learn how to stay calm and use it to guide you to success? Let's get started. But before we begin, let me tell you the story of James Stockdale, a man who endured one of the toughest trials anyone could face, and who, thanks to his calm and stoic philosophy, managed to persevere. James was a U.S. Navy pilot, a man trained for any situation, someone who had absolute control over his aircraft, his missions, and his decisions. Until one day, in the middle of the Vietnam War, everything changed in a matter of seconds. His plane was shot down. There was no time to think, only the impact, the free fall, the desperation in the air. He ejected with his parachute, and before he even touched the ground, he knew what was coming. Because he didn't land in friendly territory, he fell straight into enemy hands. They captured him, beat him, dragged him like he was nothing more than a piece of meat that had fallen from the sky. And when he arrived at the prisoner of war camp, his real test began. They chained him up, tortured him, and left him in isolation for days on end, with no contact with anyone. 7 years, not 7 days, not 7 months. 7 years locked in a tiny cell, not knowing if he would ever see the sunlight again. Not knowing if each day would be his last. Many men in his situation broke. They gave up. They lost hope and let fear consume them. But James didn't. Not because he was physically stronger, not because he had more endurance than the others, but because he had something that made him invincible: control over his mind. James wasn't just a soldier, he was also a student of Stoicism, and while he was trapped, he remembered the words of Epictetus: "It is not circumstances themselves that harm us, but our interpretation of them." He couldn't control his situation, but he could control how he experienced it. He couldn't stop them from beating him, but he could stop them from defeating him. He couldn't escape, but he could hold on to the one thing no one could take from him: his attitude. So he did something that changed everything. Instead of sinking into despair, he decided he would find a way to resist. He became the secret leader of the prisoners, creating a coded communication system so they wouldn't feel alone. He taught them how to resist psychologically, how to keep the enemy from breaking them from the inside. While his captors tried to crush him, he kept repeating to himself, "This does not define me. I am stronger than this." And he was. He survived. And when he was finally freed, after 7 years of horror, someone asked him, "How did you endure it?" His answer was simple: "I accepted reality, but I never lost faith in my ability to overcome it." Stockdale understood something that many never do. You don't control what happens to you, but you do control how you respond. And that was the key to his survival. So tell me, what's stealing your calm today? A problem at work? An argument? A bad day? Do you feel like everything is out of control? If James could find strength in the middle of the worst nightmare imaginable, so can you. No matter how difficult the situation seems, you always have control over one thing: your response. And in this video, I'm going to show you how. Let's get to it. Before we continue, if you're finding value in this content, consider subscribing and becoming an exclusive member for access to unique perks. And let us know in the comments, what does staying calm in a chaotic world mean to you? Or simply type, "I am Stoic." We want to hear your thoughts and grow together with you. 1. Calm is your greatest weapon. Imagine you're a Formula One driver. Your hands grip the wheel firmly, the engines roar, and the track feels like a scorching desert of asphalt. You're on the final stretch, just seconds away from first place. Suddenly, as you take a sharp turn, the car loses traction. The wheel feels weightless, control slips away, and the world moves too fast. This is the defining moment. You have two options. The first, panic, freeze, react with fear, and jerk the wheel impulsively without thinking. The result? You end up in the gravel, off the track, and out of the race. The second option, stay calm. Feel the car sliding, but don't let desperation take over. Ease off the accelerator for a moment, correct with precision, and regain control at just the right time. The best drivers in the world aren't the fastest. They're the ones who keep a cool head when everything spins out of control. They don't fight the curve, they understand it and use it to their advantage. Life works the same way. It's not about avoiding problems, it's about learning to respond with clarity when they show up. If you look at the most successful people, you'll notice something they all have in common. It's not that they never face crises or that their lives are perfect. It's that when the world turns against them, they stay on track. They don't lose control. They don't let fear dictate their decisions. Ryan Holiday, author of The Obstacle is the Way, calls this a strategic advantage. He says real strength isn't in speed or aggression, but in the ability to stay composed when everything seems to be falling apart. And this isn't just empty motivation. It's because a calm mind makes better decisions. Marcus Aurelius understood this centuries ago. If you are disturbed by something external, it is not the thing itself that troubles you, but your judgment about it. And today, neuroscience backs this up. When we react impulsively, it's the amygdala taking control, the part of the brain responsible for emotional responses like fear, anger, and frustration. But when we manage to stay calm, we activate the prefrontal cortex, the part that allows us to reason, evaluate, and make intelligent decisions. A study from the Institute of Cognitive Neuroscience in London found that people who train their ability to stay calm under pressure not only experience less stress, but also achieve better long-term results. They don't make decisions based on momentary emotions, they act based on strategy. Now, I know what you're thinking. This all sounds great, but how do you actually apply it in real life? Because sure, it's easy to talk about staying calm when you're watching a video or reading a book. The real challenge comes when reality hits, when the curve appears out of nowhere, and you feel like you're about to lose control. That's why here are 2 strategies to train your mind starting today. The first is the observer technique. Imagine you're not the one experiencing the situation, but rather a spectator watching a movie. What advice would you give the main character? This exercise helps you distance yourself emotionally and think more objectively. And here's the strategy that will truly set you up for success. Don't wait for a crisis to practice this. Train your calmness every single day. How? For example, imagine you come home from the grocery store, start unpacking, and suddenly, the carton of eggs decides to do parkour off the counter and onto the floor. A disaster. Naturally, your first instinct might be to yell, curse gravity, and wonder why life hates you. But this is your test. If something as small as this can steal your calm, what do you think will happen when you face a real problem? If you can't control your mind in the small moments, you won't be able to in the big ones either. Calm doesn't magically appear when you need it most. It's a muscle that you train every day. So tell me, do you really want to keep reacting like a rookie driver who loses their head at the first sharp turn? If staying calm makes you stronger, why are you still letting the world push you off track? 2. Can you really control everything? Have you ever had one of those days where nothing goes as planned? You wake up early. Today is going to be a great day. You have everything scheduled down to the last detail. You're going to finish that important project, work out, prepare a special dinner. Nothing can go wrong. But then everything starts to fall apart. Your boss asks for something urgent that wasn't in your plans. A friend cancels dinner at the last minute. You call someone expecting support, and instead they hit you with a comment that ruins your mood. You feel frustration creeping in. Nothing is going as expected, and you can't stand it. And this is where the real problem begins. Because we don't just want to control our own lives, we want to control others too. We want people to react the way we imagine, for our plans to unfold exactly as we designed them, for everything to go perfectly. So tell me, how many times has this happened to you? How many times have you tried to change someone, to make them see reason, to convince them to do things the way you believe they should be done. Maybe you give advice to a friend who keeps making the same mistakes. Or you try to get your partner to see things from your perspective, but they don't change. Or you wish your parents would stop worrying so much about you, that they'd understand your way of thinking. And when they don't, you get angry, frustrated, and feel like everything is going wrong. The problem isn't the situation. It's your attachment to the idea that you can control it. Naval Ravikant, investor and entrepreneur, explained this in one of his talks about happiness and personal success. Suffering comes from the desire to control the uncontrollable. He was talking about how so many people spend their lives trying to force outcomes, manipulate circumstances, or change others, when in reality the key is to let go and focus only on what is within our control. And he was right. Because the more you try to force things, the more you resist reality, and the more anxiety, frustration, and stress you accumulate. But this isn't just an idea from modern speakers. Epictetus said it more than 2,000 years ago. Some things are up to us, and some are not. Only those who cling to what they cannot control will suffer. Science backs this up as well. A study from Stanford University analyzed the impact of uncertainty on emotional well-being. How did they do it? They divided a group of people into two situations. The first group was given a task where they had full control over the outcome. The second group was given a task where the results depended on external factors they couldn't influence. Then they measured their stress levels. And do you know what they found? The people who accepted uncertainty showed lower anxiety, greater adaptability, and a more stable emotional state. Meanwhile, those who clung to control felt constantly frustrated and exhausted. Now tell me, which side do you think you'd be on? The side of those who accept what they can't change and focus on what they can, or the side of those who fight against the wind, expecting it to blow in their direction? If you want to learn how to live without every obstacle knocking you off balance and continue on your path to success, I have two challenges for you. First, the "so what" challenge. The next time something doesn't go as planned, ask yourself, so what? Will this matter in 5 years? Because many times stress comes from things you won't even remember in a few months. Now let me tell you about the second challenge. And honestly, I'm almost afraid to say it because I know your first reaction will be a firm no way. But trust me, this could change your life. We'll call it controlled chaos. One day a week, stop planning everything down to the last detail. Allow yourself to go with the flow, without rigid expectations. You'll be surprised at how your mind adapts and how, by letting go of control, you actually gain it. Life isn't a straight highway where everything follows the plan you mapped out. It's more like sailing in open waters. You can't avoid the waves, the storms, or the shifts in direction, but you can learn to adjust your sails, to let go of what isn't up to you and focus on the only thing you truly can control: your decisions, your attitude, and your response to every situation. And that's where real success lies. Not in trying to control everything, but in knowing how to adapt, flow, and take charge of what's truly in your hands. 3. Be grateful before you complain. My friend, your brain is like a garden. What you plant in it is what ends up growing. If every day you water it with stress, complaints, and negativity, you'll get a dry, thorn-filled wasteland. And no, this isn't just a nice metaphor. A group of scientists at the University of Berkeley wanted to prove it. So they conducted an experiment. They divided people into two groups and gave them a simple task. The first group was asked to write down 3 things they were grateful for every night, no matter how small. The second group could write about anything with no specific rules. Weeks passed. It was time to see what had changed, and the results were shocking. The first group, those who wrote down their gratitude daily, showed increased activity in the prefrontal cortex, the part of the brain responsible for calmness, decision-making, and emotional well-being. It was as if their brains had received special training to focus on the good and handle stress more effectively. And the second group? Nothing. Their brains remained the same. The garden was still dry. Do you see it now? Gratitude might seem trivial, but it's not. And trust me, I know from personal experience. I used to think it was pointless too. But one day, I gave it a shot. I started writing down 3 things I was grateful for every morning, and my mindset completely shifted. Over time, I understood something that Seneca had already said centuries ago. It is not happiness that makes us grateful, but gratitude that makes us happy. Think about this. It's Monday. You open your eyes, and the first thought in your head is that you need a vacation, that everything would be easier if you had a different job, a different house, a different life. And while you wash your face, your mind keeps playing the same tune. If I had more money, if I had more time, if things were easier, then I'd finally be at peace. But tell me, when has it ever been enough? Because the truth is, no matter how much you achieve, there will always be something else to want, something else to chase, something you think is missing. And in the middle of all that, the only thing you're really losing is your peace of mind. So if a simple habit like recognizing the good things in your life can literally strengthen your mind and help you stay calm in difficult moments, why not do it? First, say thank you out loud at the start of your day. But do it with intention. Imagine that right after opening your eyes, you sit up in bed, stretch your arms, and say with all the energy in the world, thank you. It might feel silly at first, but try it. Because the moment you start your day with gratitude, your brain shifts its focus. Instead of thinking about what's missing, it starts noticing what's already there. Second, write down 3 good things before going to bed. And don't just repeat the same ones every night. Look for details, maybe a coffee that turned out amazing, or an unexpected laugh with your partner. Because if you don't train your mind to see the good, it will only see the bad. And third, focus on what you have, not what you lack. Life isn't about crossing off an endless checklist of desires. If you can't appreciate what you have now, you won't appreciate it even when you have twice as much. The peace you're looking for, the clarity you need, and the success you want to achieve aren't in what you haven't yet obtained, but in the way you choose to see your life. Because here's a truth you should tattoo into your mind. Complaining changes nothing. Gratitude changes everything. 4. Think well and attract the best. Let me tell you a story about a friend. A few months ago, he received life-changing news, a serious health issue, the kind that turns your world upside down. Suddenly, everything became uncertain. Hospitals, medical tests, fear, and worst of all, his own mind working against him. Every morning he woke up with the same thoughts. What if things get worse? What if I never get better? Why is this happening to me? And of course, with thoughts like these, the days felt endless. He felt trapped in a tunnel with no way out. Until one day, during one of those long waits at the hospital, he heard something that clicked. It was a talk by Tony Robbins, the motivational coach, and he said something simple but powerful. The quality of your thoughts defines the quality of your life. My friend kept thinking about it. Where had he heard something similar before? He started researching and realized that Marcus Aurelius had said almost the same thing nearly 2,000 years ago. The happiness of your life depends on the quality of your thoughts. And that's when it hit him. He couldn't control his illness, but he could control how he faced it. So he decided to make a small change. Every morning before getting out of bed, he forced himself to think of something positive, something to look forward to, no matter how small. Today, I'll find something that makes me laugh. Today, I'll enjoy every moment with my family. Today, I'll be grateful for what I do have. The interesting thing? His situation remained the same, but the way he dealt with it completely changed. Marcus Aurelius, one of the most powerful emperors in history, understood that his greatest battle was against his own thoughts. He didn't focus on problems. He focused on solutions. He didn't obsess over what could go wrong. He focused on how to face whatever came his way. That was his key to staying strong in the midst of chaos. And it can be yours too. So now tell me, How are you using your mind? Are you programming it to attract the best? Or are you filling it with worries that are only holding you back? First, reframe your negative thoughts. Every time you catch yourself saying, "This is a disaster," or "I can't handle this," pause and change it. Say, "This is a challenge, but I can learn something from it." Or, "It may not be easy, but I'll find a way." It's not about lying to yourself. It's about training yourself to see solutions instead of problems. Second, distance yourself from people who only see the negative. Negativity is contagious. If you spend your days surrounded by complaints, drama, and people who always find a reason to give up, you'll start thinking the same way. Instead, seek out people who push you forward, who talk about possibilities instead of limitations. And third, visualize positive outcomes before starting your day. This isn't about daydreaming about impossible things. It's about imagining yourself handling situations well. Picture how you want to feel, how you can respond calmly to whatever comes your way. Because when your mind has already rehearsed success, achieving it becomes much easier. In the end, it all comes down to this: your mind is the filter through which you see reality. If you train yourself to think well, you'll attract opportunities, make better decisions, and become the best version of yourself. So, my friend, tell us in the comments, what is it that you want to attract into your life? Write it down with conviction, because everything starts with a thought. 5. Your attention defines your reality. Tell me something. When you walk down the street, what do you focus on? Do you notice the rushing people, the traffic, the noise, the problems? Or do you see the small good things like the sun lighting up the buildings, the sound of the wind through the trees, a random smile? One thing is clear: reality is the same for everyone, but the way you perceive it depends on where you place your attention. It's like that famous bus meme: two people on the same journey, one looking at a breathtaking landscape and the other feeling miserable staring at a rock up close. The difference isn't the road, it's which side they chose to sit on. And life works the same way. If you only focus on the gray, on what's wrong, on what's missing, your world will always feel like a wall of stone. But if you turn your head and look in the right direction, you might realize the view was always beautiful. Will Smith once said in an interview, "If you want success, happiness, if you want to achieve any goal, you have to learn to ignore distractions and focus only on what truly matters." And that has been the key to his success. It's not about luck, it's about knowing where to direct your energy. Your attention is like an Instagram filter. Depending on the filter you use, the image changes completely. If your filter is full of complaints, worries, and problems, everything around you will seem dark and negative. But if you learn to switch filters, if you choose to see what is in your control, what you can take advantage of, your entire world transforms. Now tell me, where have you been placing your attention lately? Try this. Think of something that made you feel upset or anxious in the past few days. Was it a comment someone made? A problem at work? Something you saw on social media? How did it make you feel? Now imagine that instead of focusing on that, you had directed your attention to something positive, something that was in your control. Maybe a small achievement from your day, a moment of peace, a nice conversation you had. Do you think your mental state would have been the same? If you want to start regaining your sense of calm and focusing on what truly leads to success, first, do a mental diet. Just like you watch what you eat, you should watch what you feed your mind. Reduce the amount of negative news you consume daily. Filter the content you follow on social media. Ask yourself if what you're watching adds value or just drains your energy. Your mind is like a garden. What you water is what grows. Second, do an attention reset. When you find yourself stuck in negative thoughts, change your focus. Literally. Go for a walk, take a deep breath, look around, and find something different. If your mind is filling up with worries, change the question. Instead of thinking, "Why is this happening to me?" ask yourself, "What can I learn from this?" Third, surround yourself with people who reinforce what you want to attract. If you only spend time with people who complain, who see problems in everything, who never have a solution for anything. You'll start thinking the same way. Seek out people who inspire you, who challenge you to improve, who push you to keep your focus on what truly matters. As Epictetus said, "Where your attention goes, there is your soul." Because in the end, what you focus on is what you experience. If you train your attention to focus on what strengthens you, you will become more resilient, make better decisions, and stay calm in any situation. 6. If you don't rest, your mind shuts down. How many times have you forced yourself to keep going when you were already exhausted? You're sitting in front of your computer, trying to focus, but your mind feels like a TV with bad reception. You read the same sentence over and over without understanding a thing. You have a coffee, then another, and still you can't think clearly. And the worst part? Instead of accepting that you need a break, you push yourself even harder. Do you really think that's going to make you perform better? Of course not. You just end up making more mistakes and feeling even worse. Here's a truth that no one tells you. Rest is not a luxury, it's a necessity. Look at your phone. What happens if you use it nonstop all day and never charge it? Exactly, it shuts down. And no matter how much you shake it, hit it, or yell, "Work," it won't turn back on until you give it what it needs: rest. So why do you keep treating your brain like it's any different? The Stoics understood this centuries ago. Seneca made it clear when he said, "Even the sharpest sword needs rest to keep its edge." What good is a perfect weapon if you wear it down until it no longer cuts? What good is a brilliant mind if you exhaust it to the point where it can no longer think clearly? Seneca allowed time for reflection, for calm, for recovery. And he didn't see it as wasted time, but as a strategy to come back stronger. Today, neuroscience confirms it. Rest improves memory, learning, and self-control. And to keep this from sounding like a boring lecture, let me put it simply. Your brain is like a whiteboard. Imagine that every day you write down everything you learn, do, and decide. But if you never erase it, there's less space, more clutter, and more confusion. Sleep is like wiping that board clean, making room for new ideas, new lessons, and clearer decisions. Now, do you see why it's so important? I know what you're thinking. Okay, but my life is too chaotic to get good rest. Don't worry. Here are 3 strategies you can start using today to bring more calm into your life. First, reduce screen time before bed. Yes, I know it sounds cliché, but it makes sense. The blue light from your phone tricks your brain into thinking it's still daytime. So if you go to bed watching videos, reading the news, or scrolling through social media, don't expect your mind to switch off right away. Second, create a nighttime routine. It doesn't have to be complicated. You can read a few pages of a book, write a little, or simply sit in silence and let your body relax. The key is to send a signal to your brain that it's time to disconnect. Third, listen to your body. If you feel like you need to stop, do it. Rest isn't weakness, it's strategy. An athlete doesn't train non-stop because they know their performance depends on recovery. You are the athlete of your own life. Believe me, resting isn't a waste of time. It's recharging your energy so you can be stronger the next day. Because if you truly want to achieve success, you don't need more hours of mindless work. You need more clarity, more focus, and more calm. 7. Your mornings shape your destiny. Imagine this. Marcus Aurelius and Seneca wake up in the 21st century. Marcus Aurelius opens his eyes and the first thing he does is grab his phone. He checks his notifications, sees unread emails from the Senate, someone on Twitter is criticizing his latest decree. And to top it off, the news is reporting trouble at the empire's borders. He sighs, gets up reluctantly, and while pouring his coffee, he's already thinking about how exhausting the day will be. Seneca, on the other hand, wakes up calmly. Before moving, he takes a deep breath and asks himself, "What kind of day do I want to have?" He gets up without rushing, stretches, drinks water, and takes out his journal to write down some reflections. Then, without checking his phone, he goes for a walk, feeling the fresh air on his face. One starts the day dragged down by circumstances. the other takes control. And you? Who do you resemble more in the mornings? Many people start their day on autopilot. They wake up, check their phone, fill their heads with information and worries before even getting out of bed. They don't prepare their minds. They don't direct their focus. They just throw themselves into the day without control. But imagine what would happen if, instead of reacting to everything that comes your way, you chose how to start your day. Science now confirms that this isn't just philosophy. Dr. Rangan Chatterjee, an expert in health and wellness, explains that having a clear morning routine is key to managing stress and staying calm. His studies show that when people begin the day with intention, whether by reading, meditating, or simply avoiding distractions, their anxiety levels decrease and their ability to focus increases. So now tell me, how are you starting your days? To make sure this doesn't just stay in theory, let's do something different. Imagine that today is your turning point. I'm going to walk you through an ideal morning so you can experience what it feels like to start the day in control. When you open your eyes, remember, no touching your phone for the first 30 minutes. Yes, I know, it sounds difficult, but think about it. Do you really need to flood your mind with information before you're even fully awake? Give your brain a break before bombarding it with messages, news, and social media. So what are you going to do instead? Something that makes you feel in control. It can be small, but it should give you the feeling that the day has already started with a win. Making your bed, stretching, preparing a quiet breakfast, meditating for a minute. It doesn't matter what, as long as you do it with intention. Finally, visualize the kind of day you want to have. Don't let the day take control of you. Take control of it. Take a moment to imagine how you want to respond to challenges, how you want to feel, what you want to achieve. And if you're not sure how to train your mind to visualize with clarity, stay tuned, because soon you'll discover why this skill can change everything. So, my friend, tell me, how are you going to start your mornings from now on? Share it in the comments and make it real. This community is here to support you on your journey. 8. What you visualize, you build. My friend, has this ever happened to you? You decide you want to buy a car. You start looking at models, thinking about the color, the details, how it would look with you behind the wheel. And suddenly, you start seeing it everywhere. On the street, in ads, in the supermarket parking lot. It feels like the universe is sending you signs, right? But it's not magic. It's your brain. When you focus your attention on something, your mind starts detecting it more easily. Not because it appears out of nowhere, but because you've activated the right filter. And this doesn't just happen with cars. It happens with everything in life. Epictetus summed it up in one sentence. What you feed your mind becomes your reality. If you spend your days thinking about problems, about what you lack, about how hard everything is, that's exactly what you'll see everywhere. But if you start focusing on progress and opportunities, your mind will start working to find them. Because here's the secret, your brain doesn't distinguish between what you vividly imagine and what you actually experience. Roxy Nafusi, an expert in visualization, explains that picturing your day with clarity isn't just a mental exercise. It's a real way to train your brain for success. Want to try it? Close your eyes and imagine your ideal home. Don't just think about it, experience it mentally. What color are the walls? How does the light stream through the windows? How does it smell? What music is playing in the background? What does it feel like to walk through it? Now imagine everything you need to do to get there. Not as a distant fantasy, but as a real path. Visualize each step, the effort, the decisions, the small daily wins that bring you closer to that goal. Does it feel more real? Good. Because the clearer you see it in your mind, the easier it will be to find the paths that lead you there. So, how can you use visualization to stay calm and achieve success? First, create a mental script for your goals. It's not enough to say, I want to improve, or I want success. Imagine the details. If your goal is to be more confident, visualize a specific situation where you act with confidence. If you want a successful business, picture what a day inside it would look like. From your first morning coffee to your last meeting of the day, your brain needs clear images to know where to go. Second, surround yourself with images and stimuli that reinforce your vision. Have you noticed that athletes fill their walls with motivational quotes and pictures of their idols? That's no coincidence. Your environment influences what you think, so use this to your advantage. Place reminders of your goals where you can see them. Change your phone's wallpaper to something inspiring. Read things that reinforce the right mindset. Calmness comes when you know where you're going. And success isn't a matter of luck. It's about visualizing what you want and taking each step with intention. 9. Breathe and take back control. The game is on. The air is heavy around the table. The players study their cards, but true experts don't look at the hand. They watch their opponents. In poker, the winner isn't always the one with the best cards, but the one who knows how to play them. Beginners give themselves away with every breath, every nervous movement, every drop of sweat on their forehead. But professionals, they don't blink. They don't show impatience. They don't let anyone read their mind. Because they know that in poker, just like in life, the one who loses control loses the game. Now swap the poker chips for words. The table for a real-life argument. Someone challenges you, provokes you, tries to drag you into their emotional game. If you take the bait, if you react without thinking, if you explode on impulse, you've already lost. But if you stay calm, if you breathe before acting, if you choose your reaction instead of giving it away, then you hold the power. Picture this. You're in an argument. Your heart races, your blood boils, words pile up in your throat, ready to fire. You feel attacked, misunderstood, and every part of you screams to react. Defend yourself. Respond. Don't stay silent, but wait, pause. Because this is where everything is decided. You can explode and say the first thing that comes to mind, or you can do something the Stoics mastered. Stay calm. And no, this isn't just about avoiding embarrassment in an argument. It's the difference between being trapped in impulsive reactions or taking control of your life and moving closer to success. Marcus Aurelius practiced this daily. If he hadn't, his empire would have crumbled in no time. That's why he said, "Calm yet determined, cheerful yet steady. That is the man who follows reason in all things." That's the key. Your mind can be your greatest ally or your worst enemy. It all depends on whether you control it or let it control you. And in moments of stress and tension, what's the first thing you should do? Take charge of your breathing. It may seem too simple, but listen. Whoever doesn't control their breathing doesn't control their mind, and whoever doesn't control their mind can't control their life. So next time you feel like you're about to lose control, use these tips to stay calm. First, the 4-7-8 technique. It's simple. Inhale for 4 seconds, hold for 7, exhale for 8. Why does it work? Because it forces your body to relax. It's like hitting the reset button on your nervous system. Also, have a little compassion. If someone snaps at you with anger or frustration, chances are it's not because of what you just said. It's something much deeper that you can't even see. Maybe they're having a bad day, a bad life, or they simply don't know how to handle their own thoughts. And here's where you have the advantage. You get to decide whether to step into their chaos or not. Because in the end, the one who shouts loses, and the one who stays calm wins. My friend, remember this. When life pressures you, don't react. Breathe first, decide later. Because real success doesn't belong to those who let their first impulse take over. It belongs to those who know how to wait, think, and act with precision. 10. Seek silence, find answers. Think about this. You open your eyes, and before even getting out of bed, your phone is already in your hand. Notifications, emails, social media. You step outside, and there's traffic, honking, half-heard conversations, music blasting from every direction. You get home, turn on the TV, check more messages, filling every moment with noise. And without realizing it, your life becomes a whirlwind where silence never has a place. Just thinking about it feels overwhelming, right? And do you know why you do all that? Because you don't know how to be in silence. It terrifies you. It makes you so uncomfortable that you fill every second with noise. But here's a truth you might not want to hear. Silence is not the enemy. It's a portal, a gateway to another world, one where answers don't come from outside but from within. If you never dare to step through it, you can't even imagine what you're missing. It's like in the movie Eat, Pray, Love. The protagonist, trapped in a life that no longer fulfills her, leaves everything behind and sets out on a journey to find herself. But she doesn't do it in the middle of chaos. She does it in silence. At a retreat in India, she faces her greatest challenge, being alone with her own thoughts. And it's not easy. Her mind screams, her anxiety spikes, she wants to run. But then something changes. When the external noise fades, she starts to hear what she truly needs. There, in the silence, she finds the answers she was searching for, not because someone gives them to her, but because she can finally hear her own voice. The Stoics understood this centuries ago. Seneca said that we often suffer more from the noise in our minds than from the noise around us. We worry about things that haven't happened yet, replay past mistakes, fill our heads with unnecessary thoughts that keep us trapped in a constant mental storm. But the one who learns to find calm in silence learns to find calm in any situation. And science backs this up. A study from Duke University made it clear. When you spend time in silence, something incredible happens in your brain. It doesn't shut down, it doesn't go into standby mode. It does the exact opposite. It's like searching for something in a messy room. You look left, right, dig through things, open drawers, but the more you search, the harder it is to find. Everything is chaos. But then you stop, take a breath, organize a little, and suddenly there it is, right in front of you the whole time. This activates what's known as the default mode network, a neural system that helps you connect ideas, solve dilemmas, and find clarity. It's as if your mind, free from distractions, starts cleaning up, organizing thoughts, and piecing together answers that once seemed out of reach. If your mind feels like a constant storm and you can't find the answers, what can you do? First, disconnect for 30 minutes a day. No screens, no conversations, just silence. It could be in the morning, before bed, or at any moment you allow yourself. Second, take silent walks. No music, no podcasts, just you and your thoughts. At first it might feel uncomfortable, but over time you'll realize it's a space where ideas and solutions appear that you couldn't see before. Third, write down what comes up during those moments of silence. Thoughts, reflections, doubts. Writing them down will help you clarify them and recognize patterns in your thinking. Because here's the thing, if you can't stand being alone with your thoughts, who else would want to? Silence is not the enemy. It's the tool you need to calm your mind and guide you toward success. My friend, if you truly want to stay calm and reach success, there's one more thing you can't overlook, a detail many ignore, but one that makes the difference between an overwhelmed mind and a mind in control. Ready to find out what it is? 11. Use your hands, calm your mind. Let me tell you the story of a man who couldn't sit still, not because he was impatient, but because his mind was full of questions. It wasn't enough for him to observe the world. He needed to understand it, touch it, take it apart, and rebuild it with his own hands. He drew endlessly, designed machines that didn't yet exist, studied anatomy, and wrote without stopping. But he didn't do it just out of curiosity. He knew that his mind worked best when his hands were busy. When he felt stuck, he sketched. When his thoughts became chaotic, he grabbed paper and organized them into drawings. When words weren't enough, he let action speak for itself. And that was his secret. He didn't wait for clarity. He created it with his own hands. That man was Leonardo da Vinci. A genius, yes, but also a man who discovered something that many still don't understand. When the mind is overwhelmed, the solution isn't to think more, but to do. And you, my friend, what do you do when stress takes over? When ideas pile up without making sense? When anxiety paralyzes you? Marcus Aurelius put it clearly. Well-directed action brings peace to the mind. Calm doesn't come by sitting still, waiting for the storm to pass. It comes when you take action. Picture this. You're at work, and everything is spiraling out of control. Emails piling up, your phone ringing non-stop, someone asking you for something urgent. You feel pressure in your chest, your mind racing, like you have to respond to everything all at once. You want to stay calm, but you just can't. And the worst part? In that moment, all you wish is to be that person who knows how to handle pressure, the one who stays centered, who makes good decisions without getting swept away by chaos. Because in the end, those are the people who move forward, the ones who succeed. But how do you do it when everything feels like it's on fire? To calm the mind, use your hands. I know what you're thinking. My hands? What kind of nonsense is that? Yes, I get it. It sounds too simple, but it works. First, dedicate at least 10 minutes a day to a hands-on activity. Drawing, writing by hand, cooking, fixing something, gardening, whatever it is. And no, don't worry. I'm not telling you to suddenly start sketching in your notebook in the middle of a chaotic office, but make it a habit. A moment in your day where you disconnect from the noise and give your mind a chance to reset. Second, remove distractions. Forget multitasking. Turn off notifications. And absolutely do not play music with lyrics in the background. Just you, your hands, and the activity. When your mind focuses on a single physical task, stress melts away without you even noticing. Third, pay attention to how you feel afterward. Maybe you won't have solved all your problems, but I promise you'll have a clarity you didn't have before. As if the storm had settled, even if just a little. When words aren't enough, let your hands do the talking. Sometimes the silence of a simple, hands-on task speaks louder than 1,000 chaotic thoughts. So tell me, my friend, what's the first thing you're going to do with your hands to calm your mind? Be bold and share it in the comments. Calm isn't just the absence of chaos. It's the key to making better decisions, acting with clarity, and moving towards success without letting stress control you. Every day you have the chance to train your mind, to choose how you respond to what's around you, and to become someone who doesn't get swept away by the noise but learns to direct it. Don't wait for life to become easier or less chaotic. Real transformation happens when you learn to find calm within the challenge, when you decide to focus on what you can control and stop wasting energy on what you can't. If you've made it this far, let us know in the comments. I choose calm to guide my success. That way, I'll know who the true Stoic warriors are who made it to the end. Don't forget to subscribe, hit the notification bell, and give this video a like so you don't miss out on what's coming next. I also invite you to check out our playlist, which you'll see on the screen. It's packed with ideas, stories, and advice to help you navigate life with more wisdom and confidence. Click it, and let's keep moving forward together. Until next time, take care and keep embracing your inner Stoic.